It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR, presented by the South Dakota Office of Attorney General, Division of Consumer Protection. Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com is also brought to you by Bank West, Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Todd's Electric, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Shane's Pharmacy, Missouri River Dentistry, CHS River Plains, Edward Jones Financial, Ferding Electric, First Dakota National Bank, Gales Gas, and Lamb Motors. And now, your host for Coach's Corner, John Winkler.
And a good evening as we welcome you here to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. John Winkler here with you inside the KCCR studios. It's going to be a busy night here. The schedule is jam-packed. We're talking football with Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors. Tom Moore of the Soybeans Chargers. We'll wrap up the season with the Stanley County Buffaloes head coach Max Foth. We'll also talk to Victoria Peterson, the head coach of the Pierre Governor girls cross country team, and we'll also talk with Amanda Stosher, the head coach of the Pierre dance team, as well as those state meets for cross country and cheer and dance coming up this weekend as well. So we're going to get right into it. We will come back and talk with Steve Steele, the head coach of the Pierre Governors, next here on Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID, such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, who will wrap up the regular season tomorrow night against Douglas and then get into the playoffs next week, Thursday. Let's go back to last Friday's game. There was that was a full season in one game. Just all the things that happened. Injuries that happened on the same play of the game. You're down 21-0. You come back and win 45-28. You move things around. You put different pieces in different places, and all of it worked after once the second quarter hit. Everything was working for the Pierre Governors. I asked you after the game, immediately what your thoughts were. Now that you've had some time to digest that a little bit more and look at it on film and kind of take a step back from it. What's the biggest takeaway overall from how the Pierre Governors were able to get that win on Friday?
Yeah, I think you said it right away there. It was a full season wrapped into a day. It was a 5-hour bus trip out there. Everything's delayed. You're off schedule. Where we added another time that we hadn't played a game at to our starting time deal this year. Just you're off your routine right from the get-go. Obviously things don't go your way. You get all kinds of injuries, but you also saw a bunch of different people step up to the plate and take their shot and do a really good job. So I said there's a lot of different elements of pride for the coaches and for this team throughout this game, but the vast majority of it comes from supporting their teammates, Again, there was a lot of, down people from some of the injuries that happened and some of the ways that things happened. But there was also a lot of guys that really rose to the occasion and met their moment. So a lot of different things to be proud of. And again, it was just such a roller coaster that I think that was the quietest bus ride home that I've ever been a part of. And it wasn't sad or disappointed. It was just everyone was just exhausted emotionally.
And you mentioned, those injuries and guys stepping up. Carter Merrill goes down, Tucker Ott goes down the same play. And, Kay Ducheneau has started the first 3 games of the season, so he moves back into that role, or depending on what you look to see. And maybe, obviously tomorrow night might look a lot different than what we see in week 1 of the playoffs, too, just because of the opponent. Well, again, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But Tucker Ott goes down, Spencer Olivier comes in, and you mentioned, too, when we were talking off the air, that I never said his name on the radio, which is a huge win for an offensive lineman. Is when you're not being looked at and you're not being talked about. That's when you're, basically invisible to the broadcaster. That's a big win because you're doing your job. And guys stepped up in those roles in some difficult spots.
Yeah, Spencer had a great game. Again, as an offensive lineman, a lot of time you just want to be background music. You want the music to continue. You don't want it to stop. You don't want it to have any kind of static, and that's what he did. He went in and really did a great job filling the role that Tucker had, and again got us through the rest of that game. We're excited that he's really, really come a long way this season, and really took his moment and ran with it. So he did a really good job. Cruz Williams is another one that kind of stepped in amongst the chaos of the line when Cass got hurt and Wallman got hurt, and there's all the kind of different shuffling. Cruz did a really good job stepping in. Really eager and just ready to go. So both of those guys, I think, had really good games up front. Ones that you probably didn't, again, hear necessarily on the broadcast just because you wouldn't want to hear them. If they did a good job, we would have a different conversation right now. And I said, obviously, Jaron had a great game when he went back to quarterback. He did a really good job. Hudson Stosher, I think, is another one that really made a lot of really good plays. That really good scramble drill catch at the end of the first half kind of got us into field goal position, and he had a lot of good runs. Kind of the way that the game developed, where we kind of sold out to empty. He was essentially our de facto running back on those jet sweeps along with Jaron out of the backfield. So, it was definitely a survival game in that sense that, once we kind of found something, we were like, let's just stick with it because we had, so many moving pieces. But, just, again, proud of all the guys for finding their role and just being able to do it as good as they could.
And then moving into this week and moving in the playoffs, it adds an extra element, with Caleb Lounsbury, Jaron Deal, both having phenomenal games at quarterback at different times. Well, obviously, Deal with his last game. Lounsbury was basically perfect against Sturgis the week before. All of a sudden, now your teams are having to kind of look at 2 different quarterbacks and kind of game plan 2 different quarterbacks. And the mind of Steve Steele already, I think, probably scares a couple coaches around the state, or most coaches around the state, because you just have no idea what your mind is going to bring in for the rest of the in the playoffs that hasn't been seen yet on film. And now all of a sudden you see 2 things on film, and that just makes this Governor team that much more dangerous going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the fun part of the last 2 weeks, if you remove the reasons we had to do some of the changes that we did with injuries, you saw us throw for 300-ish, with Caleb against Sturgis. You said he didn't miss. Then all of a sudden you see Jaron run for, 250. I can't remember exactly, but, almost 250, and throw for another 200 or 250 against Spearfish the next game. And, those are both pretty good teams. They're the winner of that game this week will probably have a home playoff game, or could very well have a home playoff game. So, it was against quality opponents that they really went in there and did some good things. So, having that ability to be able to do that, and both of them are also really good receivers. I think you've seen that from Jaron already, where Caleb just hadn't had the opportunity really to get out there and play receiver. But it's just a contrast of styles. They're very different quarterbacks. They're very different receivers too. But the amount of variety that we can do with differences of having them back there is just a lot of fun to coach.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. That one guy lines up there, and then the next guy lines up there. The game plan or the defensive alignment might have to really be adjusted pretty quick on the other side, because one guy can throw the ball really well, hand the ball off. I mean, there's so many different aspects of where the offense can go depending on who's lined up, and then depending on how how the play is designed, it can go a lot. I mean, there's one of those things where they line up like this and go 16 different ways throughout in just one play.
Yeah, and that's the hope. I mean, we've got a lot of different things in. We feel really good. I mean, I don't know that we've had a year where we've had this much variety. We've always had quite a bit of different things in, but we've truly got such a variety of packages in right now. For both quarterbacks, for multiple personnels that we're excited. We're ready to start using a lot more of them now.
As we talk with Steve Steele here, the Pierre Governors, as they get taken on Douglas tomorrow. I talked with Tom Moore of the Slave Beach Chargers last week about this. And, Sunshine Bible Academy was their opponent. They hadn't won a whole lot of games. Your opponent this week against Douglas to wrap up the regular season. They haven't won the last couple of years. They struggle to score. There's a lot of negatives on that Douglas side. In the last game of the season, the fine line of making sure guys are prepared for the playoffs, making sure guys stay healthy, making sure you get the win, making sure everything goes well. There's, again, I don't want to talk bad about Douglas so much, but there's a lot of factors that go just beyond the final score for you guys to feel good about things. Because you can come out, win 21-0, final score is, that's probably not going to be what you want to see from your team. But then, guys could get, you don't want guys to get hurt, but you also don't want to not play them. You also want to make sure that they're in the right spots the way they need to be. There's a lot of factors that go beyond the final score of this game between Pierre and Douglas on Thursday.
Yeah, there really is. And there's if you ask what a successful game is, we've got to win, we've got to get the work in that we need to, and we got to come out healthy. Those will be the most important things in that order, probably. We got to get the win. We still have to get the work that we need to get to work in with our starters, but we need all of them to come out ready to go the next week. And I said, and it's a challenge to just kind of find what is that balance and everything. But, ultimately we don't want to, push the brakes either. We especially, honestly, both sides of the ball. Again, you take out, a 10-yard field and a defensive touchdown. They held Spearfish to 7 points. They shut out Sturgis on defense. Offensively, over 42 weeks in a row. You don't want to alter that momentum either. So I think it's an important thing that we keep the momentum building from where we are. But again, we've also got to make sure that we're finding a way to come out healthy. And I think this will be a really good week to hopefully try and get some different guys, some different looks that we've been repping in practice, but maybe haven't run in games yet.
And then again, with Douglas being where they're at in the standings, they're not going to make the playoffs. Even if they end up winning this game, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. You guys are in a comfortable spot. Again, winning the game probably doesn't move you one way or the other unless some crazy things happen, which, in 11 AA, we've seen a lot of things happen.
Never know.
Yeah, you never know. But, what's kind of the big challenge to these guys to know that, hey, you still have to be prepared. You still have to be ready to go. You got to treat this like a team that, kids can see on film, on paper, what this Douglas team is. The challenge then, what do you challenge them to make sure they're still prepared like they would be for any other game?
Yeah, the whole point of that is just, our standard is what it is, and you've got to rise up to meet it each and every week. And it really, we don't care who we're playing. Next week we don't know who we're going to play yet. We don't care who we're going to play. Whoever it is, we'll have to beat them when next week comes. And that's just got to be our mentality the rest of the way. It's been our mentality kind of after, as we sat down at O'Gorman's Field and said, hey, we're done losing. Whatever the next one is, we're going to go get it. And I think the guys have done a great job with that mentality so far. And, hopefully this is the halfway point to our ultimate goal.
Thursday night football, what's the excitement of being able to play on Thursday night? Even though it's wrapping up the regular season, senior night, all that stuff, what's the excitement of playing on Thursday night?
It's definitely exciting that it's home this year.
Yeah.
I'll say that part. That part's nice. But, it's just a little different. It's always, this will be another new starting time and starting thing for us. So we'll have to really...
Assuming that there's nothing else that happens that backs us up.
Yeah. We'll have to knock on wood there, but... assuming we do that, I think we'll have had, because we'll have had a 5 o'clock start, a 6 o'clock start, a 7 o'clock start, an 8 o'clock start, a 9 o'clock start, and a 9:15 start. technically, thinking last week was technically a 9 o'clock Pierce start, right? Or no, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So yeah, 8 and 9. But anyways, so we've almost got the full bingo now on starting times. But I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's always just fun because it's a little different. Everyone's there a little bit earlier. The game happens and is done a little bit earlier. So it's always an interesting time, but it's just a fun time because it's playoff time.
Biggest key then overall here, we'll wrap things up on Coach's Corner. Biggest key for the Pierre Governors to get the win Thursday night. Yeah,
we've got to come in and we've got to take another step forward. We've got to be executing at a high level, especially with some of the changes, personnel all moving around this week. If we can just have smooth transitions at some of those positions, and still be executing at the same level that we were last week, that's our goal.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you. We'll talk to you in the pregame show tomorrow night.
Thanks, John.
That's head coach Steve Steele. The Pierre Governors back with more of Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Radio.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID, such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Join me as Coach Tommy's Chargers as we get set for the playoffs, as the Chargers will take on the Hitchcock-Tulare Patriots in the first round, the 5 versus 12 matchup, and that is a rematch from earlier this season. Back on September 12th, the Chargers won 52-12. So, Coach, it's kind of right at the midway point of the season where you see Hitchcock-Tulare, and then you get a month later and face them again. How much does it first game go into the game plan of game number 2 in the playoffs?
With these guys, not a ton, because when we played them, they had several players that weren't playing yet, and they kind of knew they were going to get healthier as the year went. Now they're about full tilt from what they could be. I know the start of the year, I picked them as a top 5 team to finish the year. But I guess I didn't realize when I voted that they had a bunch of kids that were hurt. But they got most of those kids back now, so it's going to be a much, much different football team from when we played them week 3. So it's going to be a little bit different scheming and what we have to prepare for.
And obviously you just answered that question. So, but kind of the other side of it, if everybody had been healthy from that first game, is that too early of a game to say everything's completely different, or is that late enough to say we can take quite a bit if things were healthy? Obviously, again, it's not really a concern, but is that kind of, somewhere around week 3, is that okay, or is that too early in the season to maybe take stuff from?
It's a little bit early, especially these guys. It was a brand new coach, and he had, like I said, he was short player, so he's kind of the kids that got accustomed to how he coaches me. He coached in the Dome last year, so he obviously knows what's going on, what it takes to get into a championship game. So he's done a nice job of setting some schemes up for them and getting people in the position that needs to be in. Now they do a lot of the same stuff that they did the first time we play them, just how they get to it, and they returned a couple linemen that are very, very good. They still have the number 3, the Inander kid, extremely high-end athlete. He plays quarterback. I'd say he's more of a running back, and he runs the ball 70% of the time. So they +1 you a lot on defense, so we just got to find ways on defense to try to balance that +1 out, which may make it a little bit difficult, make it kind of fun of doing some things that we have to read and have to follow along with.
I would say that was going to be kind of the next question of when you look at them on film from last week Friday's game to what you saw, what your own eyes saw when you're watching Sully Buttes and Hitchcock Tulare play on the sideline. Some of the things that really stand out, obviously, with guys getting healthier and being able to come back, they do look like a different team on film than what they did in week 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the kids they brought back, they brought a lot of physicality with it. But similar to when we played in the first time, they don't throw the ball a ton. The quarterback is extremely shifty, so he definitely wants to run it, not that he can't throw it. So we definitely got to make sure we can stop the run, and then to just kind of get the pass covered up. Defensively, people still are able to throw the ball against them fairly decent, and that's what we did the first time that we played them. So we'll have to be able to do that to almost be able to pass well to open up our run game. So it'll be a much challenging game with these guys.
Going back to last Friday against Sunshine Bible Academy, your last regular season game, you win 66-12. Again, it's a team that finished at 1-7 this season. That it's not a 7-0 team that you beat 66-12, and that's more talking about for you guys than anything else about Sunshine Bible Academy. But what was your biggest takeaway that you liked about the 54-point win? Whether it be you're able to kind of get guys, a couple different guys in different positions, or a couple backups in, or maybe ending the game, a little bit early, so you could get that, every minute counts type of thing. That at the end of the season, what was kind of the best thing about being able to win by 54 points on Friday?
The one bonus was we were banged up last week. Hopefully, we get a couple of the kids back that were banged up that didn't play last week. But the nice thing I saw against that game was we were able to throw the ball pretty well, distribute the ball to lots of different people, which Wes is very, very good at. We have 4 or 5 good receivers that can catch the football, run some routes, and just kind of keep showcasing, keep working on that. Getting the more we can do that's going to help our run game a little bit. So just getting more and more confidence rolling into the postseason any way that we can. And I thought we did a nice job of being able to air it out last week to open up some running stuff.
And I know I'm kind of going back to that first question, but the big thing too is that it's a short week, and you're not unfamiliar with it. You understand that at the end of the season, you get ready to go for your first round opponent Saturday morning, maybe late Friday night you start preparing, but you have one less day. Against Hitchcock Tulare, some people are saying, well, it's a familiar team, so you've already played them, so it becomes a little bit easier to game plan. But as you mentioned, it's kind of like playing a brand new team that you haven't seen this year because of all these guys that are coming back, that it's not going to be the same team that you saw in week 3.
Yeah. So it's been a fun challenge to prepare with, and that's one thing of how the playoffs set up. You kind of hope you play some different teams, but we start with Hitchcock. If we'd be fortunate to win, we'd play Burke or Falcon, so 2 teams we've already played. So however we go down the road, if whatever happens, will be teams that we've already played, and we're going to have all that we can handle to get through this one. So it's different to prepare for. As like I talked about, they're a little bit of a different team. They're still doing the same type of stuff, but they're just trying to schematically get in different positions to do it. And it's just enough that you have to cover up some stuff, but we still have to stay pretty true to our reads and what we're looking at. We can't let all the eye candy, the moving around stuff, affect our eyes, and just make sure our reads stay where we are. If our reads stay where we are, it's going to give us the best chance to hang in there.
Again, that game coming up on Thursday, Tomorrow will be Hitchcock-Tulare at 6:30 at Oneida, Sully Buttes track and field right there at the football field next to the Sully Buttes School. 6:30 on Country 95.3 and on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports. And you get to open up at home. Obviously, being the number 5 seed, you're not guaranteed to be at home in the second round. Obviously, you're not guaranteed to make the second round. You got, as every coach will say too, got to win the first game to even put yourself into game number 2 of the playoffs. But how nice is it to be at home again to open up the playoffs and against this Hitchcock-Tulare team, trying to beat a good team twice. How nice is it to be at home?
Yeah, it's handy to be at home. That's why you work during the regular season, so you give your chance to have as many home games as you can. And I talked with the kids as we've done. We played the last 8 games to get to these 4 games. So now those previous 8 games don't matter. Now we need to try to be 4-0. Need to continue to be undefeated every single week and give yourself a chance to be playing into November.
Talking about the short week again. What changes in your practice scheme of how you prepare for the game? From Friday to Friday, same routine. From Friday to Thursday, obviously has to change a little bit of routine. What maybe has to be accelerated? What maybe gets taken out, or what do you do with that one less day of practice and preparation with the kids?
It stays pretty much the same. We just go on the weekend for an hour or so to watch a little bit of film and do a little stretch and running, just like we'd be a kind of our normal Monday. Just has to be a day in advance. So, which I wish they'd keep it like they used to, where we used to play our last regular season game on Thursday, so that kind of gave you that Friday to get film and get things organized. So I wish we'd go back to that, but how it works, it just works. It takes a little bit of time out of your weekend. It makes us as coaches have to prepare a little bit faster. As going into last Friday night, it was a toss-up between 4 or 5 different teams that we could possibly be playing. So it was hard to even kind of look forward into and start looking at film before we could even get to it. So that made a little bit of a challenge, but that's the rest of the states do the same thing. And it sounded like there was an issue with PowerPoint somewhere else. That would be really tough situation. So we're fortunate that we're playing at home, and we're excited to take on Hitchcock.
We're talking with Tom Moore, the head coach of the Sully Buttes Chargers. So we'll wrap up here, Coach. The biggest key for the Sully Buttes Chargers to get the win Thursday night and to advance to the quarterfinals next week.
The biggest thing of these guys is we have to get them off the field. I know last time we played them offensively, they had I know they had 2/3 snaps to our third in the game, and watching other teams that they've done things with, they have several 12 to 16 play drives. Some they get points on, some they don't get points on, but they flat out move the ball, and Basin, their front is very, very big and very physical, and that's definitely a highlight of their team. And then they got their best athlete or their best runner touching the ball every single play. So you put those things together, it makes it hard to stop these guys. So schematically, again, we'll have to be sound, but if we have a chance to get him off or get him punting or get him into a long third down, we have to get him to be able to punt and get us the ball in offense. Otherwise, they eat up a lot of clock when we're on defense.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. It was always good talking to you. It's that fun time of the year, the playoffs coming up on Thursday. And, of course, DT Meyer will have the call on Country 95.3 and on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports with a 6:30 kickoff between Sully Buttes and Hitchcock-Tulare in Oneida. Coach, appreciate the time as always. Good luck Thursday. And again, as long as you keep winning, we'll keep talking to you. So here's to hoping to talk to you next week, Wednesday, for Coach's Corner.
Absolutely. Sure hope to talk to you next week.
That is head coach Tom Moore of the Sully Buttes Chargers. Back with more Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID, such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Peer Area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota in Pierre is proud to sponsor today's game. Whether you're in the market for a brand new Ford, Lincoln, or Toyota, or a quality pre-owned vehicle, our team is here to get you back on the road in style. From tough trucks to family SUVs, we've got the selection you need and the hometown service you deserve. Browse online anytime at CapitalCityFordToyota.com. Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, where community drives us forward.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at KCCRradio.com. Joining me is Max Foe, the head coach of the Stanley County Buffaloes, as they picked up a 52-6 win on Friday against Gettysburg to wrap up the regular season. Unfortunately, just one spot short of making the state playoffs on that in that final day of the season. And Coach, let's start with this. Let's go back to last Friday. That big win, 52-6 over Gettysburg. Biggest takeaway, what was some of the big things that you saw in that win on Friday night?
Our kids played great. You know, our defense was dominant. We did a great job tackling in space. We forced a lot of turnovers. I think we held them under 100 yards of total offense. So kids were flying around making plays. And then offensively, they looked tremendous. We ran the ball really well. We scored a bunch of touchdowns. We threw a bunch of touchdowns. Had almost 500 yards of offense, so everything was clicking and heading in the right direction for us, and the seniors did a great job, played tremendous. Paxton Deal comes to mind. I think he had a couple interceptions on defense and then scored 2 long touchdowns on the offensive side. Case Calda got into the end zone as tight end position, so we've been looking for that one for the past couple games. And, of course, Landon Bain being as steady as always, you know, he ran the ball really well for us and did a great job. So we did an awesome job up in Gettysburg. I wish we could have played some more football this season, but that's just the way the numbers worked out this year. And yeah, to be able to miss out by less than half a point, that's pretty crazy. So, yeah, it's a tough way to end the year, but at the same time, a great chance for our guys to go out and play hard and win a big game.
You know, what was kind of the message, and maybe you didn't know exactly by the time that the game was over where everything stood, but what was kind of the message after the game to those guys, or maybe that first message after knowing that you weren't going to be in the playoffs? Because the mixed emotions of winning a game by 46 points and then missing the playoffs got to be kind of tough to try and put everything into perspective and try and talk to the kids about too.
Yeah, you know, that's definitely one of the hardest parts about being a coach is you remember that these kids are just, they're boys. You know, they're just high school boys, and they want to keep playing, and they want to play football and play for their town and play for their teammates and all that good stuff. So, you know, to be able to see the writing on the wall and have a couple outlines ourselves before we actually got the notice from the state that we officially weren't going to be there, like, that was tough. You know, by the time we got home from Gettysburg, we met with the boys before we all headed our separate ways that Friday night. And, yeah, it was a lot of tears. It was a lot of sadness, a lot of players that, you know, wanted to play more football. And I think some of the underclassmen felt just as bad as some of the upperclassmen because they wanted those seniors to be able to keep playing too. So, you know, to go through something tough like that, you know, it's hard on you as a coach, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I'm glad I could be there for the kids and support them and let them know that, you know, we did the best we could and it just wasn't enough, and that's okay because that's going to happen sometime outside of high school as well.
And again, talking with Coach Max Foth of the Stanley County Buffaloes. And, Coach, you mentioned, too, those seniors that you didn't have a whole lot of them this year, but the ones that you did have were very impactful for this team and had been for the last couple of years. I'll give you a chance to talk about those guys being as impactful as they were from start to finish, not just so much this year, but for their entire career start to finish for the Buffaloes.
Yeah, this senior group has done a great job. You know, they really bought in terms of the weight room this past summer, and they were some of our biggest leaders in there, and they did a great job with that and really helped us try to take that step from kind of learning our way at 9AA to trying to be one of the better teams in 9AA, and they kind of laid the building blocks for that for us in terms of being in the weight room and really committing to that in the off season. I think they did a great job of that, and you know, for them to go out and play as well as they did, like I told them, it's a little cheesy, but at the same time, there's not many teams that get to win their last time on a football field. You know, it's one of those things that, yeah, we might have missed the playoffs, but you know, the last time they played football, they're going to be able to remember that Gettysburg game and remember just how big they won and how much fun they had playing that game. So, you know, hopefully it created a bunch of core memories for them that's going to stick with them for a long haul. And hopefully our younger kids learn from these guys, you know, learn that, you know, it takes all that time and effort in the weight room to do all the right things to be able to go out and make big plays on Friday nights. And hopefully we're heading in that right direction.
Again, yeah, you start to look at the 2026 season now and what the football team will look like. Obviously, you'll have some guys that are going to be moving up and playing a lot more varsity playing time. Those 8th graders will be moving in, maybe some 7th graders that will be part of whether it be JV or varsity team, and you know, the big ones are the seniors that won't be there. But, you know, when you go back, or I guess when you start to look forward, what kind of makes you excited about the 2026 season for those guys that will be returning?
Yeah, I think Coach Hofte is going to be super excited just because we returned so much on the offensive and defensive line. You know, obviously our skill positions were tremendous this year with a lot of senior leadership. But offensive line and defensive line, we've got a lot of kids that played a lot of varsity football, probably earlier than they should have had to, but that experience is only going to make them better. You know, whenever you can bring back 2, 3, or 4 starters on the offensive line, it makes your life a lot easier as a coach as far as install goes and that type of deal. And then our other skill guys that stepped up and played big for us this year, you know, being able to bring back Jack Deal is going to play a ton of football for us. Joe Malm did a great job in rotating in all over the place. He played linebacker and DB and wide receiver. You know, that kid just loves to play football. So we're going to find places for those guys. And yeah, hopefully we keep lifting like we have been and keep getting bigger, faster, stronger. And yeah, the sky's the limit.
And, you know, before I let you go here, as we'll wrap things up, give me your best, and kind of an unfair question, too, because I'm sure there's probably a few, but hard to narrow down to just one. But maybe your best memory that you'll take from this season, the best moment that you'll take from this 2025 Staley County season.
I think one of my favorite things right off the bat has to be finding a way to get Case Calda in the end zone. It was so great because that poor kid had played center, he'd played guard, he'd played tight end, he'd played fullback. I think we've thrown him some passes at the running back spot this season. So for him to be the utility man on the offensive side of the ball and to find a way to get him into the end zone, and the way we got him into the end zone was a play where we used a guard eligible to find a way to get Case into the end zone to score a big touchdown for his team. Hopefully it's a good memory for him, and it was certainly a good memory for me as a coach. That was so fun. And then I think I also think back to that 2-minute drive we had against Leola where, you know, we go down by a score with just barely over 2 minutes to go, and we drive the length of the field and punch it in, and with not much time left on the clock. That's one of those memories that senior group's going to remember for a long time. You know, be able to make a comeback win in front of the home crowd and have everybody losing their minds. It was a good time.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate you talking to me here this evening, and enjoy the conversation we had throughout the entire season. It's always good talking to you, and I appreciate you coming on after the season has ended as well. So thank you for the time. Thanks for talking throughout the entire season every single week with me, and appreciate it all, and already looking forward to the 2026 Buffalo season.
You bet. Thank you, buddy.
As head coach Max Voth of the Staley County Buffaloes, more with Coach's Corner on the way here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Did you know it is important for your child to see the dentist at the time their first tooth erupts? A healthy smile begins at birth, and there are many variables, from healthy eating habits to good oral hygiene and routine dental care. Hi, I am Dr. Michelle Hofer. At Missouri River Dentistry, we enjoy working with people of all ages. Dentistry is our profession, but people are our focus. I invite families to come experience an office that uses the latest techniques and equipment to be sure you receive that healthy and happy smile. To schedule your appointments for your family, call us at 223-2021. Kids love us, parents trust us.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Victoria Peterson of the Pierre Governors as the girls cross-country coach as they get set for the state cross-country meet coming up in Huron on Saturday. They will run, the Class AA girls will run at 2 o'clock. And, Coach, it is good to have you on the show talking about this group and a really talented group of women that will be running on Saturday. And we'll dive into a couple of those girls specifically, but from top to bottom, this list is a really talented group of girls.
Absolutely, and it starts with our leadership at the top. We have 3 amazing seniors, Emery Larson, Gwen Richter, and Charlie Williams-Smith, and they have put in the time, the work, and actually all 3 plan to run at the college level. So that's where it starts right there with those girls leading the way, and they all bring their own strengths to the team as well as leadership. And so it's been fun to kind of watch them pursue their dreams, see them compete, and then also want to continue at the college level.
Yeah, this group, and you talked about Larson, Richter, and Williams-Smith, those seniors, they've won a lot on the track and field side of things as well. Emery Larson obviously has been with the Governors for her second year. She's been very decorated in the wins that she's had in cross country throughout her high school career as well, and an opportunity to run in Huron on Saturday especially for these 3 girls. And obviously you got Devin Van Rokel, Larissa Redemans, Elena Rounds. Those, they'll be able to return and continue to run going into next year and the year after for most of them. But these 3 girls have a chance to really leave it all out there on Saturday to have one final great run with the Pierre Governors.
Right, they have their chance to leave their mark on Saturday. And in addition to the rest of the girls, like you said, we have Devin Van Rokel. She has been a multiple-time state place winner. She's returning. We actually, based on their PR times and the last 3 state meets, the last 3 years, top 25 is medaling, and we're hoping to sneak in. Last year we snuck in 3, and we're hoping to sneak in maybe 1 or 2 more here this year. It is a tough race. We have Harrisburg, who's very dominant. We have Brandon Valley, Stevens, T area. There's just a lot of competition out there, but we also have a lot of talent on our team, and I think we're ready for it.
And it's at Huron at the Broadland Creek Golf Course, and you guys have ran there once before. I think you were scheduled to be there twice, but one ended up being maybe canceled because of weather. But you got a chance to run there. So, maybe other teams have been able to do the same thing too. But being able to be familiar with that course this year especially, how much does that help these girls to be able to understand, what they need to do, whether it be at this spot in the race or at that spot in the race? How much does it help being able to have run at the golf course already once this year?
Oh, it's a huge advantage to know the course, and I love that our schedule allows us to know, get to know that course. It is my favorite state meet course because the way it's set up, the way they run it, and just like we know where 400 left is, where it's time to kick. It's we know, where the hard mile is going to be and where it's time to get mentally tough and push through. And it was unfortunate that last meet got canceled. We do go to Huron twice a year, every year. But they know that course. They've ran it several times, all of the girls. So it's just a huge advantage to know where you're at on the course and mentally get tough, because that's what running is. It's a lot of mental when you get into the middle of a race. So they're prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to be mentally prepared or just be mentally tough in a cross-country race, that's one of those things that, you work on your speed, you work on your agility and all that stuff, and work through all that stuff. But the mental toughness and the mental aspect of running cross-country and to understand a course and to understand all that mental side is very much as important as it is running the race itself, too.
Absolutely. Their fitness and their talent and their hard work goes a long ways. But like you said, a lot of the race is mental, and you have to have that key component as well. And these girls are mentally tough. We took them on some hard workouts. Obviously, we're backing off now, but they've had some really tough, hard hill workouts, tempo runs, so they're ready.
One of the things, too, about kind of mentally being tough this weekend, you're the second to last race. You start at 2 o'clock. The boys' Class A will start at noon, and then it'll go AA boys, B boys, then A girls, and then AA girls. When you look at the schedule, and would you rather be first? Would you rather be last? Obviously you can't change it, but what's the difference of maybe being the first group to run, and then potentially, or then on the flip side, basically being the last group to go run?
Personally, I'd rather be earlier in the day, just because it's a lot of sitting around for the girls, because they want to conserve energy, but again, like, they're used to it because they're not usually the first race, and so we usually get there an hour and a half at least before the first race, so they're used to like hanging out at camp, relaxing. The weather looks like it's going to cooperate for the most part, hopefully, so they will be able to. It's not like they'll be out in terrible elements or weather for a long period of time either, so that looks good.
And again, talking with Coach Peterson here of the Pierre Governor girls cross country team. We talked about Emery Larson, Gwen Richter, Charlie Williams-Smith, those three seniors. When you look at a state run or just in general a run, for someone that is unfamiliar with the cross country and and it's not just when you start a race you just go run it. There's difference and how you want to start and how fast you want to run, the pace that you want to be at, when you need to speed up, when you need to maybe slow down and back off a little bit. When you look at this course on Saturday, what's the big technique for this Governor team to have a successful run? What kind of maybe the start that they need to have? Where does that need to be at?
I think all of our girls should at least start in the top 50, 40 to 50. Obviously, some of them I'm hoping start in the top 25. And then I have individual plans for each of them. But starting out, not easy, but not too hard either. And then where we're really keying in is that middle mile. It's a 3-mile race, and that middle mile is the toughest mentally because, you're in the back stretch. That's where you get mentally tough, and that's where I'm telling them, that's where we start passing people, because when you're passing people, you start to feel good about yourself. Mentally, that builds your confidence, and that's what's going to carry you through that last mile. And then, obviously the last 400 to 600 meters, it's hard there. Who wants it more, and who's going to finish that race? It's the last 400 meters, you come up a big hill, and it's a big hill, and then you kind of turn the corner and run along straightaway into the finish. And so it's down to that point. It's who wants it more. And we talk about every day, every person counts, because as the team, every person you pass counts for one less point for us. And so that's kind of been our mentality all year, and they've just really clung to that. And they have been finishing their races really strong. So I'm excited to see how that works.
And this time of the year, weather is always a factor because it can be really cold, it could be really warm, it could be snow, there could be rain. You just never really know. And obviously, as we're talking here in a couple days away before the state meet, looking at Huron with a high of 65 on Saturday, that's is that perfect temperature? Is that almost like perfect weather? They're right now not talking about a lot of winds, but that's we're still a couple days away from it. To have a day like 65 on Saturday and hopefully relatively low winds, is that kind of ideal weather? Is that, or is that maybe, do you want the Governors to be running in bad weather? Do you thrive on the bad weather? How does this Governor team react to the different temperatures and the different weather conditions?
That is perfect running condition. It is. And I'm going to take it because that is, like you said, perfect running conditions. I do think our girls are tough. We run outside every single day during the season. So they've ran outside when it's been really hot, with the exception of when we had that heat warning. We ran in the morning, obviously. But they've ran in 95 degrees. We ran when it rained for a week straight. They've ran in it all, and so they're prepared for it all. I try to keep them prepared for every situation. So I think regardless how the weather is, they will be ready to compete in whatever environment they're given.
All right, the time's starting to wrap up on us here, so two more questions, and one being those three seniors again. We've kind of mentioned already, but just how important these three seniors have been to this group this year, but also for the future of the Pierre Governors, what this group, these seniors mean to the Pierre Governors. What they bring to the table is unmeasurable. Their personalities, although we joke about how very different they are. They bring such positive, enlightening personalities, which is amazing. They have been so good to our underclassmen, keeping them, including them, and cheering them on, guiding them through workouts. They are just unmatched. Their attitude, their effort, their goals are unmatched. They want to be there. Like I said, I have two already verbally committed, and one that is still making her final decisions, but plans to run in college as well. And so it's just amazing to actually see that come from such a small group. That I have 3 out of 3 seniors going to run at the college level. Not necessarily cross country, but maybe track too. Which, yeah, absolutely incredible to have, to basically be 100% of a group to be able to go run and or be a part of college athletics. Final question here, Coach. Biggest key for the Pierre Governors to have the best successful race at state cross country meet, and then again, whether that be winning, whether that being top 5, top 10, as high of a place as this Pierre team can be. What's the biggest key to make that happen?
Compete hard and have fun. That's what I tell them every race before they race. That's my final message. I'm a woman of few words when it comes to race day. I try to prepare them up until that point, and then I let them kind of do their own thoughts as well. But I always tell them compete hard and have fun, because when you're doing both of those, usually things click into place. And we have had a lot of success when they're having more fun. The pressure isn't so high, and they compete hard. They compete with those around them.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time, and it's good talking to you. It's going to be fun to see where this Governor team finishes on Saturday. Safe travels over to Huron. Good luck on Saturday, and it's going to be fun to see where this Governor team finishes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. That is head coach Victoria Peterson of the Pierre Governor girls cross country team, who will be competing in the state meet on Saturday in Huron. They will run their meet at 2 o'clock on Saturday. The AA boys will be at 12:30 on Saturday. We'll return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID, such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and on line at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Amanda Stosher, the head coach of the dance team, as the Pierre Governor Cheer and Dance team will be in the state competition coming up this weekend as we get set for that. And Coach, it is good to have you on, and let's talk a little bit about your team and about this dance team and the opportunity to be able to compete. And this has been a group that has you got a lot of girls on the cheer and dance team, about 6 seniors on this team. What's been special about this group so far?
This group, I have 7 seniors, and some of them have been with me for 5 years. So it's just been really great to see them continually growing and working together. And this group of seniors has just been really good leaders, and bringing in the upperclassmen or the underclassmen and helping them get comfortable with our team and the practices and competitions.
And you competed in Watertown earlier this season. That's where the Watertown is going to be the host of the state competition. For someone that maybe doesn't follow cheer and dance, but understands how it's very competitive and everywhere you go. When you go to the same place twice, is there a benefit to having been there once? Is it going to maybe be the same judges? Do you know if it's the same judges? What kind of goes into being able to be at the same location twice?
What's really nice about being able to have danced on the floor before is that we know how the floor feels under our feet. We know that if it's a good turning floor, if it's slippery, if it's a sticky floor. So we kind of know that the Watertown floor is one of our favorites that we compete on, and we actually did really well in Watertown, so we're really excited to be back there.
That's got to be really, really nice. Obviously you can't pick and choose where the state meet's going to be at, but to be able to be in a spot where the girls really like to be able to compete, that's got to be really helpful.
It is. We're excited.
So looking at the schedule, too, you have your first meet, or the first time that you'll be on the floor is 11:55 in the POM division. When you look at the schedule, in the first one, Brookings goes 11:15. You guys are scheduled for 11:55. Is it good to get going early? Is it, would you rather be earlier? Would you rather be later for that first potential spot? Does it really matter what time you go out there? How does that work, too, for you?
We kind of like to be sort of in the middle. The judges are able to see, the first routines and then seeing what happens after us. It's kind of always just, you never know what's going to happen because teams can bring in new skills, so you don't really know exactly what's going to happen when they start judging, but we kind of like just being in the middle of the pack so we can watch a little bit, and then we're able to go and warm up and then come back out and compete and maybe watch the rest of them.
And then the hip-hop routine will be at 1:51, scheduled for 1:51. And then on top of that, too, when you're watching, because obviously you can't control what other teams do, but you can watch, and maybe you do take a little bit of some pieces from here or from there from other teams, but knowing that, it's whatever the peer governors do, you can't change anything what the other team does. When you watch that and trying to understand what they're doing too, how much does that do you does that go into a routine of trying to maybe up things a little bit, or maybe you say, hey, we got to be good at this because they weren't maybe necessarily good at that? Does that change anything in how, obviously your routine is set, but does that change anything in how you're preparing for the state meet?
I think when my girls watch the teams that we are like close to beating, and they see how well they've performed, it kind of pushes them to just go a little bit harder. I know that at ESD, they really they knew where they wanted to be. They had their goals, and, watching the teams, we knew how the first teams performed, and then we wanted to get out there and, leave it all on the floor and perform at our best. So we ended up doing that and placing where we wanted to for ESD, and we're just hoping I'm hoping that drive just continues with them here at State here on Saturday.
And again, talking with Coach Amanda Stoscher of the Peer Governor dance team, as again, they will compete. The cheer and dance teams will compete at the state meet in Watertown on a Saturday. You mentioned your seniors, and we'll talk a little bit about them. Kesri Benning, Catherine Kramer, as well as also Ava Johnson, Kinsley Lamb, Jane McPherson, Adriana Spears, and Remington Euchre. You mentioned how important they were, and how much you've been able to watch them grow up, and they've been able to to be able to grow up with this Peer Governor dance team. Just the lasting impact of this, regardless of what happens at state meet, the lasting impact that these seniors will have on the dance program.
Yeah, they've been a really great group of seniors. Just I think that we have half of our team is seniors, so bringing them in and having them show the new girls, we have a handful of new girls, having them show them what it's like and how they should work, and their work ethic has been amazing. They do get kind of silly on me every once in a while, but then they know how to pull it in and be focused and get ready for each competition.
You've competed, a lot of times. Sometimes you competed twice to three times in a span of a week, and then you've had times where you've been competing once every week. You've had I think a 10-day break or a 2-week break has been the longest without competition. But as you've gone throughout the season, what's one thing that you've seen that's maybe getting better as the year has gone on, but needs to be at its best going into the state meet on Saturday?
What we need to have at our best is having our tricks and hip-hop hit and not getting any deductions on those. And then also our turns have to be on, and we have to have our timing on and our spacing. We only have 2 minutes for each routine to be out there on the floor. We don't get we don't get a timeout, we don't get a break, we don't get a second half. We have 2 minutes to prove ourselves, and then, that's it. And they know that all in all, they have 4 minutes left of their season to show everyone what they're made of. So I'm really hoping that they can go out there and just like I said earlier, leave everything on the floor and come out of there feeling really good about themselves.
And this, I want to ask about this too, because you guys got to perform on the football field during halftime a couple weeks ago. How difficult is that to do a routine on grass after you've been on maybe mats, hardwood floor, whatever it might be, to go on to grass? How difficult was it for those girls to be flawless like they were in that routine on the football field?
And actually, when we competed or when we performed on the football field, we were missing four or five girls. So it definitely wasn't up to our performances that we do when we compete. But all in all, I love having them do something different like that because it gets them out there. They have fun. They're not worried about what we're going to score. They're not worried about making a mistake. But what's really hard about being on a football field is it's huge. And you feel very small when you're out there dancing on this big football field instead of in a 45 by 45 inch or 45 foot square. So, it's really fun for them, and they really do enjoy it. Pom's a little harder to do on the football field because there's turns and stuff and everything like that. But we really do like coming out and showing the community at the football games what we are and who we are and what we do.
Absolutely, and you guys were fantastic that night in front of the Governor Faithful at the football game. Again, talking with Coach Amanda Stoscher here of the Peer Governor dance team. Again, cheer and dance coming up Saturday in Watertown. as we have the story that we'll be posting later on tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll have the schedule up there as well, so you can follow along by clicking on the link with the story on kccrradio.com to be able to follow along with that schedule. So as we start to wrap up, as we, time is starting to get close to the 10-minute mark here. What's going to be the biggest key here for this Pierre Governor dance team to be able to have their best state competition? What's the biggest key to make that happen?
We need to just go in there with a positive attitude, start the day off. I always tell them, start the day off waking up, being positive, and go out there and just be confident in our ability. And, we've kind of already sat down and looked at where we think we're going to place, and then we think we're going to try to do a little bit better than what we think we're going to do. So hopefully that comes out that way. Our goal is, we have a big goal, so we're excited to see if we can get that. And I just think we need to do some focusing, and all in all, I tell them it doesn't really matter where you place, but I just want you to have fun and come out of there being confident. My goal as a coach is to build a strong, confident team.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It was good talking to you. It's fun talking about the dance team that's coming up on Saturday for the state competition. And good luck this weekend. We'll have to talk a little bit more next season. We'll get you on a couple more times going into next year for sure. But appreciate the time and good luck on Saturday.
All right. Thank you so much.
You betcha. That is Coach Amanda Stoscher of the Pierre Governor Dance Team. Back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
During the summer months, residents may encounter someone at their door looking to sell a product or a service, especially with the recent storms and flooding. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division offers these tips. Avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Check for ID, such as a revenue license and proof of insurance. Ask for references and compare prices with local businesses. If you have questions regarding a door-to-door sale, contact the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986 or at consumerhelp@state.sd.us.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends, let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
And we welcome you back here inside the KCCR studios one final time here this evening as we want to say thanks to our coaches and Coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, Tom Moore, the Soybeans Chargers, Max Vogt, the Stanley County Buffaloes, Victoria Peterson, the head coach of the Pierre Governor girls cross-country team, and Amanda Stoscher, the head coach of the Governor dance team. As again, those state meets coming up on Saturday for both cross-country and cheer and dance. And we'll have results posted on our website at kccrradio.com. We'll have the preview stories of those coming up as well tomorrow morning here on KCCR. So that'll be coming up this weekend. Of course, we've got Pierre Governor football tomorrow night with the 6 o'clock kickoff between Pierre and Douglas. Sully Buttes will be taking on Hitchcock-Delaire at 6:30 on Country 95.3. We also have Pierre Governor volleyball and Sully Buttes volleyball on Friday night. Another Pierre Governor volleyball game on Saturday afternoon here on KCCR. Again, thanks to our coaches. It wraps up another edition of Coach's Corner. Join us again next Wednesday here, same time, same place on KCCR. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR, presented by the South Dakota Office of Attorney General, Division of Consumer Protection. Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com is also brought to you by Bank West, Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Todd's Electric, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Shane's Pharmacy, Missouri River Dentistry, CHS River Plains, Edward Jones Financial, Thording Electric, First Dakota National Bank, Gales Gas, and Lamb Motors. Join us each Wednesday at 5:30 on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com for more Coach's Corner. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.